You are listening to the DisruptHER Series. Our world is constantly evolving, and at the forefront of that change are women who dare to disrupt. I'm Jennifer Fields.
And I'm Sydney Robertson. Join us as we bring you an exclusive look into the journeys of visionary female founders and influential corporate leaders.
Get ready for candid conversations, a dose of inspiration, and actionable takeaways from the disruptors themselves. Let's dive in.
Welcome to another episode of this DisruptHER Series podcast.
We're here today with the fabulous Raven Opatovsky. Welcome, Raven.
Hi, thanks for having me, girls. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you, especially with your crazy busy schedule. I'm so glad we finally were able to make this work.
Anything for you too.
Well, we're really excited to have you here today because, you're just an incredible, awesome person to begin with. But you also have like a really amazing career that you've like flourished into. But before we get into like your career and your work, I thought it'd be really good for everyone to learn like where you're from, your upbringing, who you are. So maybe we can start with that.
Sure. So I'm Raven. I'm one of 5 children. My parents are both one of 7, so I have an enormous family. I have 2 kids of my own. I grew up in a very small town called Crystal Beach, Ontario. My parents owned a beach bar restaurant, and they are every inspiration and aspiration I ever have is to be more and more like them all the time. I work in media and marketing, and I've done so for 15, 20 years, somewhere in there. I have a dog named Mulligan. She's a Doberman. And interesting fact, sad fact, I've had 3 ACL reconstructions from various sports in my knees. So I was once an athlete, and now I pretend.
What sports did you play?
All of them. The injuries were from soccer, rugby, and skiing.
Okay, so high impact and hard on the joints, but fun sports.
Yeah. Very fun.
Okay, so I want to make sure I got this right. So you come from like 2 families who have come together.
Yeah,
now you're okay.
My mom and dad have been together for 40 years. They're the most in love humans you'll ever meet in your life.
Aww.
They have 2 kids, but my dad came into the relationship with 3.
Okay.
So maybe
I got it. I love it. And so as a middle child, did that make you feel like you were the one who was always striving for what the older kids were trying to do, or trying to carve your own path?
I kind of was just, independent in that way, doing my own thing. They took a lot of attention, so I just had to kind of be independent, find my way.
Yep. And then Opatovsky.
Yeah.
What is that ethnicity?
My dad's family is from what was Czechoslovakia, but more on the Czech side of the border. My mom's off the boat Italian. And she would always joke that she was the first one in her family to taint the bloodline and marry a non-Italian. But then we got our 23andMe, and it's true. There's like nothing else on her side of it. So,
oh my God! And then as well, what did your parents do for a living? And was that something that you like followed in their paths with?
Absolutely not. My parents owned a bar restaurant in a small town where I'm from, and they are the 2 most high EQ, charismatic humans you will ever meet. They are the 2 funniest people in the world. They have more charisma in their pinky nail individually than anyone else I've ever met on steroids. And I don't have any of that, but I know how to fake it, having been around them my whole life. So
You have to share the fun fact about
the
parents' restaurant, though, the tie-in to celebrity.
So my parents' restaurant was bought by Maddie Matheson. Mm-hmm. It's called Rizzo's in Crystal Beach, Ontario. Great spot, little Italian spot.
Have you been there since it's been
I haven't.
redone?
They've been a bunch of times, but I have not been there yet.
Okay, well, let's get into your career. So, you are very successful. You're a global VP at a huge Canadian global brand. But before that, you also had experience working on the sales side with vendor. You also did consulting as well. So just wondering, how did you get into the industry and get to where you are today?
Sure. So I think my journey started as when I ended university. I think I had the biggest critical decision of my young life in which path I wanted to take. I always thought I'd be a lawyer. I was very much an academic. I like to consider myself a athletic nerd. But I did my LSAT. I was primed to go to law school. And then my aunt, who owns a firm where I'm from, said, girl, don't. You do not want to sign divorce papers for the rest of your life and review contracts forever. So do what I did, go get some real life experience. If you really want to do it, come back. It doesn't go away. Your LSAT score is good for a really long time. And I took that advice, and it was the best advice I ever had, because my world is marketing and media. There's nothing more right brain, left brain fun. It is social. It is engaging. It is heavily quant based. It is extremely, I guess, it is the perfect arena if you want to have your efforts be immediately obvious and something that can be recognized. So for someone that likes to think they're the hardest working person in any room, I suggest you go into media or marketing, because that's where that effort can really shine and see through.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
It's so funny. Actually, I had the same situation. My dad's a lawyer, media lawyer. I took my LSATs. I worked at a law firm in child protection litigation for a few years.
I didn't know that.
And I had what I call my quarter life crisis, where I started having all these panic attacks. And I realized, 'cause my dad kept saying, he's a lawyer. He's like, you will be a horrible lawyer. You're not process driven. You're creative. Why would you want, I was in court every day filing papers, like all the things. And I panicked because I was like, I have to be a lawyer. I don't know why. I got it in my head. And I went back and I told him, like, you were right. And I went back to school for marketing and then got into our industry too.
Oh my gosh, I want that story.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I got to, that's what would have happened to me. That was my little teaser
Well,
into
this
what
goes
life
to show
would
we
have
both
been.
made good choices. There you go.
Well, thank goodness that my aunt kind of forewarned me and put me on a different path.
There you go. Our family helped us out, right?
Yeah.
Here we are today.
So then your first job though was at Rogers, right?
I mean, that's where my first job started in my career, in the downtown core, working in marketing and media. So I was there for 6 years or so. And then I had a different job pretty much every year. I was extremely blessed to have found incredible leaders and mentors that just kept opening doors for me. They saw that I was an innately curious person. Complacency is the enemy. I wanted to keep learning. I wanted to keep doing different things. And they were thankfully the type of people that would open doors, create avenues for me to be very participatory in my own career. I left, I went to Snapchat, I went to Deloitte, I went to Tim Hortons, and now at Canada Goose.
Not a lot of people make that change though, from being in sales and then going on to.
I didn't start in sales.
Oh, okay. What did you do first?
My
then?
first ever job, I was in what we called an incubation department at Rogers. We were building out net new products that we were meant to launch across the Canadian ecosystem that were very successful overseas. And they happened to all be media or marketing related products. So we were building net new tools that could be used internally for marketers, but also could be monetized or sold through the media team. But I actually wasn't on the media team. It was more of a quasi product development, sales, tech role. And for any of the nerds in media, this is at the time when first-party data and location-enabled cell tower triangulation were very cool. So I got to get kind of very specialized in something that was new and upcoming and is now actually quite a standard practice for a media buyer. But it was very ground floor, and it was within an incubation scope. And I've been able to leverage that experience of working with sales and media leaders, also with marketing leaders, but also working deeply with tech, because I was doing a lot of custom data work, working specifically with product and engineering teams to try to develop the requirements that we needed such that we could provide products to the market.
It's so funny how the three of us all kind of anchored our careers at Rogers at different times. Like I remember I was a little bit older than you, but I remember when I started, because Jenny actually helped me get the job at Rogers in the first place.
Oh, no way.
And I remember we were like building out microsites, and that was a big deal.
Oh yeah.
It was like, okay,
Contest microsites.
right? And it was like all the magazines were still in play, and it's like, ooh, for 10K, we'll do an add-on for a microsite. So we were like the afterthought, basically. And look where we are now. You know, it's crazy where tech has gone. So in terms of your career, I mean, we can definitely dig into some more pieces now, but I mean, VP before 35, I mean, that's like an A-type personality you're talking about. So I'd love to drill in a bit in terms of that leadership mindset, that driven mindset, and the skills and the mentors that helped you get there.
Sure. I never set out with title in mind necessarily. I just really believe there's a few things that are true about me, and it doesn't matter what role or what industry or where I ever would have been. But solid truths are complacency is the enemy. That's my philosophy. I get bored very easily. I like to do new things. I don't, repeatability is very lackluster. I like to always be stimulated. I definitely learned about myself early that I thrive in very disruptive environments. So I've always tried to align myself to a role or a capacity where I was learning. I was always going to be stimulated, but also the ecosystem itself was something that was new. I think what's a unique strength of mine is I'm very comfortable with gray matter. Like where things are not very, very clear and things feel a bit murky because it's new. I am an operator in a way that I can pull out the black and the white from the gray and try to make some meaningful progress toward pieces of uncovering kind of that opaque world. So I like the disruption. And I also just philosophically talk straight, build trust, hopefully over deliver. And I just operated within those principles always. And I let my curiosity fuel the career decisions that I made, as opposed to say a political or a title based. I really never tried. I really have grounded myself in what is the scope that's most interesting to me. What is the leader that is, I have the most to learn from.
Right.
And so
was that a big, sorry to interrupt you, but like when you're deciding on a place to work, so it's Tim Hortons, right?
Yeah.
When you went to Tim Hortons, were you inspired by a leader there? And that's also a part of a drive to, like, would you look for leaders in a company then as your decision maker for
that is
picking
like
a company?
top. We've all learned from having a not great leader, how important it is to have your immediate manager be someone that has, that you can implicitly trust and that you can learn so much from. It's one of the most important decisions and deciding factors for me that I can make. So yes, at Tim Hortons, but everywhere else. Until my most recent role, I've never really applied for a job. Once I started at Rogers, everything has been through my network. Somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, we think we have this right thing for you. And so network is everything, but also deciding what's of interest to me wasn't about, do I think this is going to be a career leap? Do I think this is going to give me more money or more of a title? It was all about scope. It was, what am I going to learn? What am I going to get out of this? If I want to be a CEO, a CMO, a founder, a managing director, if I want to have that level, forest through the trees, what is most going to get me there? Because titles, we all know, are kind of a hogwash depending on where you are. They don't necessarily mean anything, but the scope, what you had ownership and drive, what you were able to affect change in, that's what I believe really allowed me to accelerate more than anything else. It was that I had a lot of T-shaped leadership. I had a lot of depth in different functions, but I could go broad because I have touched so many different things over my career.
In that gray matter, like you
In the
said
gray,
earlier, right?
And I'm comfortable
That is
with
a
it.
unique skill. A lot of people are comfortable to walk into a space that it's not defined for them, right? So you really helped create the roles for yourselves. Like I know we talked earlier about your role at Tim Hortons and how you played a very significant role in the upgrading of their app, for example, right? So that is an example. So you're in your role and you're doing your role. Do you find that as opportunities open up, you inject yourself into projects based on need or interest?
Yeah. So what I'll say, I was at Tim Hortons for 5 years, and the leader that I had in the end is one of the women that I will always have so much admiration and respect for as a leader, because she was a true empath and she put her people first in their development and opportunities. And I got to a place there after I'd earned it within my scope. I would raise my hand for wild big projects that I had no place driving, but the business needed. And I was, fearless is the wrong word. People think I'm not in any way fearless. I'm scared of everything. I just don't in any way let that inhibit whether I do something or not. I kind of just own it, accept it. I am scared of this. This is wild and new, and I don't think I'm the right person. And I absolutely have imposter syndrome. But honestly, they gave me the op. It's their problem. I want to learn. I want to sit in this, and I want to be better for it.
Yeah.
So, at Tim Hortons, of all the projects that I was able to do, the ones where developing a brand new lifetime value model or running a massive IT-driven hackathon, things that I should not have been the person to do, but I wanted to, those were the ones that are always like near and dear highlights of
The
my
most
career.
rewarding, right?
The things that were totally gray matter that I was scared of, always.
Yeah.
And like, I guess, did you learn from, like, because a lot of these projects that you work with, I think are like more innovative and more digital transformation.
Yeah.
So did you find that you spent a lot of time getting to like learn other aspects of the business, like working with the product teams and working with engineers and like
Oh,
different
yeah.
roles where they could teach you more on the technical aspects?
Totally. My, again, just having curiosity and positive intent lead what you're doing. I now am, from a business side of things, I am welcomed into technology rooms that I don't think a lot of folks are, because I know how to communicate and deliver requirements in a way that are meaningful to an engineer, despite having absolutely no background in engineering in any semblance. I just know I know how they think, approach problems, break things down. So there's an interoperability that I've been able to leverage along the way, just because I've never been afraid. I've been afraid. I've never let that stop me from being in rooms where I have to get familiar with a different discipline. And I have no issue being vulnerable and saying, I don't understand this. Please help me so that I can make the best out of this to meet the needs of our objective.
Is there a really big risk that you've ever taken where you're like, oh, that was something that was a big learning and you wish you had done it differently? Or it was a great learning and, you know, you would do it the same way again?
Always. I don't like, there's no, a failure or mistake is just another big learning. And I think that I've worked in different environments that hide behind the green, or there's just sometimes it feels like a PR or an optics exercise to always be talking about everything that we did well and patting ourselves on the back. And I try to institute in my teams and the teams that I'm leading now, when we have our monthly meetings, I always do a session of high fives and hiccups. High fives, what did we do well? Let's give ourselves our flowers and our accolades. But hiccups are more important.
Sure.
What did we mess up? And nothing is more powerful than I'm really vulnerable and said, I got angry. I had a point of frustration and I didn't react the way I should have. And I didn't get the result that I could have because of how I, handled that moment of pressure. And just own it.
Yeah.
Are you celebrating hiccups? Not celebrating, but like talking about hiccups at work?
Yeah, we call them one up, one downs.
Oh.
And so like we just had a session with clients last week, and then one of the other teams was like, hey, do you want to one up, one down? And we're like always open for feedback, because that's how you learn, right?
Yeah.
And the one ups always come first, but I think it's helpful to know like the blind spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we definitely do postmortems, but not in a way where you're sharing with everyone, like all of the errors.
At Twitter, we call them bird baths.
Oh, wow.
We just wash it all off in the water. Yeah.
I love this.
It's freeing. Honestly, I like that. It's
I love
freeing it, because then
Yeah.
all the emotion that gets baked into it, however you felt in that moment, when you say it out loud, it's never as much as it feels. And it's so much more normalized, and people have so much more empathy for how you're feeling in that day or that moment or what you're going through.
Yeah. And you don't build resentment either, right? Because if you have these perpetual things that keep happening, no one voices them, it ends up exploding in ways that are ineffective down the road, right?
Yeah.
So if you can catch them in the moments, get it all out there on the cutting room floor, then you can build off of those great moments and learn where you don't want to go the next time, right?
We also do, I try to have, maybe it's being in marketing, but we always do these exercises where I try to get everybody to be thoughtful about what is your personal brand? What is your brand at work? Who do you want to be? Because as we've talked about, I really firmly believe that what is your strength, what is your USP, what makes you unique in the wrong circumstance, in the wrong environment, or with the wrong folks around you is also your weakness. When HR asks strength and weakness, I give the exact same answer every time. Because it is. It's always the dynamism. It's what makes me unique is what makes me stand out in both situations.
Yeah.
So we try to have those conversations open and often on my team to say, what's your brand on this team? I'm extremely, this is not me, obviously. I'm quiet, I'm thoughtful, but when I speak up, I have something to say. I do great work. I am extremely diligent in whatever whoever you want to be or however you want to be recognized. The moment that we're not that, it makes it easier for other people to remind you.
Right.
The moment that you are, it makes it easier for people to commend you because you've stated it. Yeah. So it's easier to say, you know what, here's my vulnerability and my hiccup. I've always said that I want to be X, Y, and Z. I had a day where I wasn't.
Yeah.
Right.
To build on that, so you talked about your amazing leader at Tim Hortons that you aspire to and will always have as like on a pedestal in terms of how she led with empathy. You're now in this phenomenal global role at Canada Goose and you're leading teams. Do you yourself have a leadership style that you follow rule books by, or how have you grown as a leader?
Everything for me is by osmosis. You take the best of what you've observed in your career, you leave the rest, and you just try to kind of cultivate your own vision of things. So if asked that question, I always just harken back to who are the people that I saw lead the way that I wanted to and try to bring that into my ethos as I go. So the very first leader that I had, what I will never forget about her was she was wild. Her energy, her excitement, her enthusiasm, her humor. She was so authentically herself. She had so much on her plate all the time. And she was a bit of a whirlwind. She reminded me of my mom a little bit. But no matter what, if you had her for 20 minutes, if you had her for 30 minutes, she was fully attentive. She was 100% into that moment. She was the most present person that I've ever worked with. And I felt so respected, so trusted, so comfortable, so safe,
so heard.
And also so heard, because we would sit in a room and I would say, this is my issue, and she would action it immediately. She would be, let me draft this email. How about we approach it this way? Let's do this. And it was all handled. It was all buttoned up. And if there wasn't a solution, she would say, let me make a note. We're gonna come back to this. And she was so thorough in her approach to making sure that when her team needed her, she made sure every time I left the room, did we address what you needed today? Did you get what you needed? Yeah. And then she'd be on to something completely different 30 seconds later and was completely attentive and enthralled by them. So that has stuck with me. I think if I track her, if I track my leader at Tim Hortons, if I track a leader that I loved at Deloitte, the common theme is extreme authenticity. Yeah. These are women. One of my favorite quotes is, I think it's Diane von Furstenberg, who said, I never knew what I wanted to do, which was true for me, but I always knew the type of woman I wanted to be. And the women that I have been most impacted by in my career were so authentically themselves. They knew that what their strength was. And they also recognized that in the wrong situation, how it could be a weakness. And they learned how to moderate that, but never, ever, ever diminish what was unique. Yeah. So for example, I'm a driver, I'm an energizer, I'm very vocal. I love open debate. I do not stymie away from hard conversations. I have no issue saying that I'm wrong. But in certain situations, I can be overbearing. I can be too energizing. I can have a lot of kind of vision and an aspiration, and I'm a pusher. And some people just want to stage get it. They want to go slow. They want to feel heard. They want every idea to have 5 minutes of life. And I've already decided that I'm past it.
So being self-aware is super important, right?
It's being self-aware, but also not walking away from who you are. Just
being
learning
true to yourself,
how to
authentic, but also aware. And I think being an empath and all the things you were saying earlier, it's like it all ties together, right? So you can be all those things. And you said like at the beginning, like it's a positive and a negative in some ways, or your blind spots, right? But if you're aware of both sides of it, then when you're leading a team, you can acknowledge it and be like, this is who I am.
That's right. That's my
Authentically,
brand.
this is my brand, but I can be aware that maybe I'm coming across a little bit much sometimes, right? Yeah. So let's work on how we can work together.
And tell me honestly what you need from a leader.
Yes.
Because if you feel I've already come to a decision and you didn't feel heard and you didn't kind of get the words out the way you wanted because you take more of a guarded, thoughtful, or cautious approach to things, know that I recognize that about myself, and please take the accountability to reapproach me and ask me for the time and be thoughtful, because I'm here and I only want to learn and I only want to be better. So I'm telling you what my blind spots are or what my weaknesses are when they're not managed. Help me manage them.
Right. On top of being self-aware, you're also just very confident and comfortable with who you are.
It's not confident,
right?
It's comfortable.
Okay.
That's another thing that is like, I don't like the
you
word
don't think it's
fearless.
confident?
I don't like the word. Well, I don't, because I second guess myself all the time. Who doesn't? It's not that it's not confident. It's just that I'm comfortable. It's okay. I'm okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I love everything about myself, and it doesn't mean that I like. a lot of things about me don't give me kind of an ego boost, but I accept who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I give myself a lot of,
Grace?
I give myself grace. That's the right word.
Yeah. You're incredible. Wow.
Well, okay, so you're in a global role and you travel a lot, which is why having this together was also not that easy to accomplish. And we're so grateful. And you're also a mom to two very young kids. So how in the world are you handling everything right now?
How are you doing it all?
Because weren't you just in Paris like 2 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, I'm tired. You handle as best you can. I give myself grace. It's back to that. I am an ambitious person, such that I always want to be the best at whatever I'm doing. So that means that I'm motivated to be the best at my job. I want to be the best colleague. I want to be the best employer. I want to be the best team leader, but I also want to be the best mom and the best sister and the best daughter and the best mentor and the best aunt. And I have all of these things that I am just type A about, and I want to be the best. And what I have learned as I juggled for the last 20 years is I can't do them all every day. So today I'm here, and I'm so grateful to be here because I want to be someone that has that, first of all, shares stories and gives back, because I know how important that was for me as I was coming up. But I also want to be involved in beautiful pieces of work, beautiful projects, and beautiful businesses. So I want to do those things. I'm also, though, forfeiting my time with my kids tonight. And that hurts me because my kids are young, right? You only have so many years.
Yeah.
So I'm taking a step back on the best mom today. I'm definitely taking a step back on the best wife. I don't even think I said that as one of my priorities. I think I've just forgotten for the minute.
Right. Or husband.
Yeah, totally. I do want that too. But I've just said, you know what? For this week, when I was in Paris, I was locked in, there, present. I learned from that first mentor that whatever you're going to do, women are naturally so good at multitasking. I genuinely think we do it too much. And the best thing that we can do is lock in when we have an opportunity, because we're always going to have 100 things going on in our brains, but it does take away from what you're doing in that moment. And I observed through certain leaders that those that understood I can multitask doesn't mean I should multitask. They get so much more out of their people. I get so much more out of my personal relationships by actually being present. We're gonna go to get a drink. I'm not looking at my phone. We're gonna have date night. We're not watching TV. Right? If I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids. I don't look at anything else.
How do you do that though? Like, I just find it hard, and I don't have like little kids at home or anything like that.
We have dogs, they count.
I do have my fur babies. It's true. It's true. But how do you do that? Do you have like a mental exercise? Because like I would love to learn how to do that better. Because I find it really hard to just zone in on one thing. I feel like I'm always like the phone, the computer. Like people are calling. You're trying to figure out like what you're gonna buy tomorrow for like groceries. Like how do you have any tips and tricks on how to really just zone in like you do?
Oh, nobody's perfect. I multitask.
Directional.
But it's honestly, it's because I've seen the output.
Right.
That's what it is because if my motivating factor, I'm very practical. My motivating factor is to be the best at this thing. I just know the proof is in the pudding and the output, that if I actually just lean in and focus on it, other things will go to the wayside for sure. That's the balancing act. But I get more out of every experience when I'm into it. I can do more with 15 minutes of undivided attention doing something. We all know this. When you're like, you have 19 tabs open on your computer.
Oh God.
Yeah.
If your brain is your computer and you have 19 tabs open, there's a million things spinning around that are never going to make you feel locked in and comfortable. And so I just kind of choose it. I don't have an exercise, or it's also easier because kids reoriented my whole prioritization. So once they entered my life, and I made the mental commitment that it wasn't a commitment, it just happened to me. They are the number one priority. Everything else kind of had to follow suit around it, and I've oriented my time that way. So,
Your kids are in daycare?
one is. My daughter is 4. My son is 20 months.
Yeah.
He's in daycare.
And then your husband is obviously an incredible partner because he's putting in the time to help with pickups and drop-offs as well when you're traveling.
Oh yeah, he's the best choice I could have ever made. I've always said my dad is an untouchable dad. Josh does all right. He is he does pretty good. He's me on steroids when it comes to discipline with time and focus on attentiveness. He is not a second screener. He's not a screener. He is on the floor with those kids. He is playing around. They have long-winded conversations. He doesn't take them to sports. He would rather be participating and doing it with them. So he's teaching them how to skate, and he does sprints with my daughter every Sunday at the park. And he is the most leaned in dad. I could not do the things. Another wonderful quote that I have is, I don't know if you've heard this. This I think was Ruth Bader Ginsburg or someone associated to her. A woman marries her glass ceiling. Like that lands. The only reason that I can do anything that I want to in my career is because it's not that he was willing and there was a conversation. He's taken the back seat so many times to allow me to thrive because there's things that have to be done at home. He does believe in me, but he also, he believes in balance. He doesn't in any way have an ego about his career, his path, his time, his activities. And so I know how blessed I am to have found somebody that believes in me, but also prioritizes me. Because you can believe it, but you don't want to give up on your own things. And truly, a woman marries her glass ceiling. I believe that so thoroughly. It's one of the biggest choices that we can make.
How did you guys meet each other?
Oh, university. Very, very drunk.
Yeah. At a party.
Maybe cut that out. We met each other on spring break in Cancun.
Oh my God.
Spring break romance. Love it.
Mm-hmm. But he's from Canada though, right?
Yeah.
He just happened to be.
He's from Ottawa.
Yeah.
He's from Ottawa. We met in university.
Okay, so obviously we've talked about your amazing accomplishments in work and being a leader, being a mom. Also, like what other like layers of Raven? So do you have other passions that you like to indulge in, whether it's like a yoga or any kind of creative things you do outside of all the other things you do?
Yeah. I have lots of interests. I did become a yoga instructor. I just do it for fun. And my priority is teaching in schools. So I think it's really important for kids to learn
like little
mindfulness.
Kids?
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So I like to do that in my free time.
In your free time. Like what is that?
I know,
When
which
do
there
you do
isn't
that?
any right now. So
Yeah.
I will
Cool,
say
cool.
I haven't done it in a while.
Right.
But I hope I do get a lot out of it, and I hope they do too. So I like to do that. We're avid travelers, but Josh and I have always planned trips based on an experience. Mm-hmm. So it's not that I don't have like a bucket list of places. We'll say, we want to sail. So we sailed Greece and lived on a boat with another couple of friends for 2 weeks. And we want to climb a glacier. So we went to Iceland and drove around in a camper van and lived in it for 10 days and then climbed a glacier. We want to skydive. Well, let's go somewhere cool to skydive. So we'll go to Hawaii. So our trips have always been based around some activity or interest. Mm-hmm. And we're very grounded in, if we're going to go somewhere, we don't try to go to all the like touristy spots. We want to go and live somewhere.
It would be
we'll go
an
to Paris
immersive
for a month.
experience. Yeah. Where you're like embedded in the culture and just really like feel like you're
go to the
living
grocery
it.
store.
Yeah.
Like,
I love that.
And then sit at the park. So,
where's your next trip going to be? Or next experience?
That's different. This is point in life. Now I'm a mom, so we're gonna do. If you ever had young kids, or anyone who's about to have young kids, the biggest thing I can tell you is nap jail is real, and it changes how you should travel. There are people that travel all over the world, and it doesn't change their life when they have kids. But what you have to just acknowledge about yourself is you will be trapped in nap jail. So if your kid needs to sleep for 3 hours a day, that means that you're back in the room by 11 and you're stuck there until 2, and meals out are the worst. Because if you try to think about getting kids to leave what they're doing to go to a restaurant 3 times per day, to then order something that they don't want, and then feel like, well, this one ate, but this one didn't. This one's got to go to bed, even though they didn't eat. And you're trying to navigate all of that. Long story short, we're only doing all-inclusive in my family.
I knew that.
With these
This
kids.
is all we did in the early years.
That's it.
That's all you can do.
We're going to do, but I still want to travel and do interesting places. So we're going to do a Disney cruise in the Mediterranean.
Okay.
So we get to go to a couple of different countries, and my daughter gets to be a princess and my son gets to be a superhero, and the meals are all managed.
That sounds delightful.
When you get the all-inclusive rooms, your suite, make sure you have a balcony.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Because you
we
need to
did.
have like somewhere where you can
did.
like.
And
Just
shout
be
out to
alone.
Devin Perry Travel,
Yes.
who does everything for us. 'Cause
She's
the
done
best.
several of our trips, and we've loved every single one. She's she
Same.
is a genius at
She is a
travel
genius.
planning.
She takes all the stress and does all the work, and I just show up and think, oh my God, every time.
No, she's amazing. She's amazing. Okay, so let's lighten it up with a little rapid fire maybe to end off our episode today.
Has parenting changed your work experience at all?
100%. And it's interesting when you're talking about, I've had a fast trajectory by title. It took off when I became a parent. And it's funny because I was with my girlfriend yesterday and she was just thinking about having a family, and she was asking me for advice because it's not a presumption or an assumption. There is a definite trend where women lose opportunities in their careers or have to take a step back when they take time off work. It makes sense. It's a reality that we all face, and it absolutely gets in your head. But what happened to me, although it wasn't direct, was both of my maternity leaves, both of my kids didn't seem like it the first time right away, but they absolutely accelerated my career trajectory and growth. Because the reality is if everything is a learning experience, and it is, taking the time off of the day-to-day grind to learn something new, which was parenting and empathy and coordinating a household and all that kind of operational efficiencies and what really matters, completely changed my approach to work. I learned so much more about, oh my gosh, my number one job is different now. So I'm not going to be the first person in the office for 2 hours cleaning out my inbox or doing all of these things. I'm just not. That's gone. So how do I still become the top performer that I need to be with so much less time? And then you learn that the practical reality of that is you have to have the best super team imaginable. And you have to have the best interworking relationships imaginable. So your priorities become totally different. It's even if you have a big team, even if you feel like you're a great leader and a great mentor and have great interworking relationships, they get tested when you come back as a mom. And then you have to recognize just how powerful they are. And I think, at least in my experience, I reoriented my whole way of working around that, around I need to be able to know that I don't need to be in every room, and I'm developing rock stars. These are going to be rock stars known in our team, in our company, in our industry as best of breed. And I want to be able to rely on them. Even if we have a completely different opinion, it doesn't matter. I know that they're going to be thoughtful and thorough, and they're going to handle their business. And I need to know that I have the best partners and network internally and externally, such that I get the best out of everybody and be hyper efficient with my time. Because as you go through your career, you learn everybody's doing the same thing somewhere. You need to have a peer set so that you can say, you know what, have you ever had to tackle this issue before? Because you know what I don't want to do is start with a white page explaining something that is obvious that I know everybody else has already had to have this battle, have this conversation before. So how can I tap my network for that expertise, for that wireframe, for that outlook, that then makes it easier for me to deliver a custom version that lands my story? And all of that comes from, honestly, learning how to operationally be a better leader. And that has skyrocketed my career. My approach has changed. My approach has been talent and people more than anything else. And it's helped me, even though it wasn't really my intent. My intent was to be a better mom and be more available, but it truly made me better at my job. And it made me a better person to work with and work for and work around. Yeah. And that's a big thing that I think I wish women knew. Even when I had when my daughter, I came back to a different situation, a situation I didn't love. I did have a bad circumstance where I had to take steps back and end up on teams I wasn't comfortable with and leaders I didn't love. But even that, combined with what I was going on, it accelerated me. I was so much more direct and so much more clear with where I wanted to be, very, very clear with asking for what I needed so that I could get there. because my brain had reoriented. I am now going to say, if I'm going to spend 8 hours away from my children, I better damn well get something out of it.
Yeah.
And it can't be something as basic enough as just the financial value to be able to buy her some stuff. I want to be mentally stimulated. I want to be stimulated in a different way. I want to be curious. This is my adult time. How can I maximize everything out of it? Like squeeze that lemon and get all the juice. And it was so much more real when all of a sudden my time was cut in half, and I had to learn efficiency like never before.
Right.
Well,
Do you sleep?
I know.
Sorry, I was gonna say, you know what? I actually was thinking about this. We don't have TV.
What?
That's what changed.
Wild.
I was thinking
Oh, yeah, I
practically, because
forgot
I'm trying to be
about that.
real. Like we don't, and we didn't. It wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
They say no screens for kids under 2. And we're extra. We're extra about how we eat. We're extra about certain things. We didn't want screens around our kid under 2. So that was intentional. Like during the day, we didn't have TV on, and it just went away. Like we don't. I read before bed. He reads before bed. There's not even any like time in our day where I even know that it's gone. But I do think that kind of screen time.
Yeah.
Brain drain, maybe it's your mobile phone or maybe it's a TV. We don't actually do that. That's what has been cut from my life,
Okay.
but not intentionally.
Are you going to bring it back eventually?
I don't know.
Doesn't he love
it's not
sports?
Like he totally does. And it wasn't intentional. Like
Yeah.
it's not like we're like, I don't know.
We didn't get rid of TV altogether, but we did cut cable because we had no time to watch TV, and we were paying for this mega HBO package. There was like no point. And we were kind of extra about the screens as well. But unfortunately, a pandemic, when they had to do virtual learning, like we had no choice. Like in senior kindergarten, they were like watching everything on their iPads. Yeah.
I bounced back. My kids were born during COVID, so it wasn't a thing. She was so small. But I think that's truthfully, I use every second of the time in the day, but I don't, that's not how I decompress. I think is screens aren't how I decompress, and maybe that's part of it.
You're right. That's a huge one for sure.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people always talk about like being lost in their feed and all of those. I
Yeah.
really just don't do that.
Yeah. The doom scrolling.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, I have all of the things, but I don't find that that's like a time suck.
waster for you.
Yeah.
Time sucker for you. That's good.
Yeah.
So on your work style, then it sounds like you also, not only did you start trusting your team and giving them more opportunities to grow themselves, but also you took more of like a zoom out kind of an approach and stopped being more like hands-on with all the different projects you were working on.
Yeah, so I really do believe in T-shaped leadership. I believe you have to go deep. So it's not that I don't. I'll still go hands on keyboard. Like I'll go into the weeds because I like to learn. I'm curious. I want to see how things are actually happening. I feel like I deliver more value to my team when I have that. Number one, when I demonstrate the curiosity in what they're doing and how it works, but also I can contribute more meaningfully. But I know what I'm best at, and that generally is more of the macro strategic concepting, but then also the operational design. Everything is, what are we trying to achieve in a really meaningful way? And then what are the people, the process, and the technology that are going to get us there? And then what's it going to cost?
Right.
And how do we make sure that we're driving operational efficiency across our people, across the processes that we need and the technology that we need? And that's where I think that strategic operations is what I believe I've now kind of curtailed my career into, is that if you're doing transformation, how do you make sure that that there's a measurable outcome and that it's designed thoughtfully such that the business knows what the return is going to be on anything that you're trying to achieve. But to do that, I need the time to do that. I cannot be in the weeds in the day-to-day decisions, but I also know how important it is that the success that I've had that has come from my network, that has come from relying on friends for help, from texting. I didn't know the right folks for a certain thing that I was doing last week, and I texted a mutual friend of all of ours and said, girl, I need 4 names. I need 4 emails. I do not want to try to figure this out on my own. Help me out. Right. And the fact that I'm always, through my network, I can tap people for respectful help and advice, and they do the same for me. I want that for my people too. And that's what I mean. I want them to be rock stars. I want them to be connected. I want them to have all the resources that I did so that they can be their best selves, because it helps me. Then I can clear my table and I can focus on what I'm best at and what I'm really there to do. And also I can go home and be with my kids and not feel like I have that laundry list.
Yeah. So just to wrap this episode up with a few rapid fire questions, they don't have to be too rapid. So like feel free to expand on your answers if you'd like. Starting off, if your career journey could have a theme song, what would it be?
Ooh, that's hard. Okay, I'm gonna just talk it out. I'm a millennial. I would naturally go to like, I don't know, 2000s rap, hip hop, or maybe some 90s grunge. Nope. You know what it would be? It would be Leanne Womack rhymes. I hope you dance. That's what it is.
Was that
I hope you dance.
Leanne
Oh,
Rimes?
yes,
Listen,
yes.
Leanne, is it Leanne Rhymes?
Yes, Leanne Rhymes.
I hope you dance. That's what everything in my career, anything that I was always kind of raised, anything that scares you, makes you uncomfortable, I hope you dance. I hope you get up and try. And it doesn't matter what you've done or how successful you've been or anything else. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. I hope you still have that humility, that gravity, but also see so much more around you all the time.
The wonder.
Yeah. The wonder for it.
Yeah,
And that
I love
you're
that.
you're never done.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's always so much more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you're also on a podcast and apparently a big reader, according to your no screen time. So can you maybe share with the audience 3 podcasts / books that have really inspired you in life that you enjoy?
Sure. My book list is long. It depends on the subject matter. If there's books the book that I always just recommend to everybody that's fairly recent is Sapiens, just because I think that I've learned so much from just the cyclical nature of the world. So if you haven't read Sapiens by Noval Harari, it's one of my favorite books ever. Podcasts, there's 2 that I listen to routinely, and I do it honestly intentionally because they're 2 different sides of a business, media, marketing, technology world. I listen to All In.
Oh, yeah.
You know All In?
I sure do.
I listen to All In, and then I listen to Pivot.
I love Pivot.
Yeah.
Okay, so you probably would not like All In.
Well,
Oh, really?
What I love about the 2 is that because Kara hates the guys from Pivot,
Yes.
so it's very polarizing.
From All In.
So All
from
In,
him, yeah.
when I first started working, when Elon took over Twitter, those are all his guys from PayPal days.
Yes, they're
So
all his buddies.
It's Elon's guys, and Kara and Scott are not huge fans of that crew. So like they're like the epitomize the tech bros. So you get the tech bros version and their side of politics and life and
the
business.
billionaire version.
The billionaire version, and you get Kara and Scott. So I find it very interesting. It's very polarizing.
I honestly intentionally listen to
Both.
Both of them.
good.
And they've kind of departed a lot recently, but for
Yeah.
a long time it's a good reminder. I'm in marketing, so I always love to study how we're convincing, how people are convinced, how their minds are swayed.
Yeah.
And so having that duality always in my brain, I
Yes.
can listen to one and say, oh my gosh, that's so smart. That's a great point. I haven't even thought about
Yes.
it. And then I hear the opposite side of the equation, talk about the exact same topic from a different perspective. And I'm like,
I mean, all of them are uber successful in their careers and are very brilliant. So it's just interesting to hear
nice to have
different
that
perspectives.
well-rounded.
I hear you.
All right.
Perspective.
I'll start listening to All In too now.
Honestly, it's great. I was doing this student day talk recently, and I was trying to explain to kids what marketing is. And the best way that I could come up with on the spot is I was looking at how they were dressed. And I'm like, okay, New Balance shoes. Guys, when I was growing up, these New Balance shoes were the ugliest dad shoes. You would never be caught dead. They were so uncool. And now they're the coolest thing in the entire world. Fanny pack. Nobody would wear a fanny pack. That's wild. And now like Lululemon, Canada Goose, everybody uses these like slings, not as a fanny pack, but they literally have made such a comeback.
Yeah.
And so I can talk to them about all the things I've studied about what De Beers did with diamonds and everything else, but to make it real for them and say like, dude, 20 years ago, everything that's cool now was so uncool.
Yeah, it's almost like ironic or something, right?
It
the
is,
way
but
we're
it's
approaching it.
Fascinating how much people can be persuaded and influenced. And that's why I actually love these podcasts. And I try to challenge myself always to hear 2 sides of everything because it helps me not be.
Okay, so last question, Raven, before we wrap this up. Are you able to share one goal or ambition that you haven't shared publicly yet that you aspire to accomplish in your life?
I'll share two. One that's more work related and I think more relevant, and one that's very personal. But my partner and I have always said we want to own our own business. We want to run our own thing one day. And we save, you're saving money for an opportunity that hasn't presented itself yet. / we don't have any good ideas. So I do want to.
You can invest in good ideas.
I do want to consider.
Think tank. Trust me,
You get the
we
money.
got people. We got people to connect you with.
Well, I think that's what I'd love to do. Is I'd love to leverage all the learnings and insights and operational efficiencies and strategies that I have amassed and use it to build something and put my own skin in the game to do it. So that's definitely a dream. We just need a good idea. So I would love somebody else to have the good idea. More personally, like my dream is always, it comes back to family. I want to be 90 years old, sitting on the porch, holding hands with the same person that I went through all the ups and downs of getting jobs, losing jobs, having the kids really upset you, having crazy in-laws and broken friendships and the biggest, most tumultuous fights and the best trips and the ones that just fell apart, and still have that same person to kind of go through the whole journey with. And that's, a choice you have to make every day. So I've never talked about that publicly. But I think at the end of the day, all of this is in service of the family that I want to have and the relationships I want to have. So
that was beautiful, Raven. Well, thank you so much for joining us here today. We really appreciate all the inspiration you provided to all the listeners out there. And we hope to have you back again another time.
Oh, I would love that. And again, congratulations, girls. You're crushing it. I love listening to the podcast. I should have said this is one of my favorites because it is. And anything that I can do to ever help you please let me know. We are
we will. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for joining. We hope you're feeling as inspired as we are to shake things up and drive positive change.
If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and give us our show rating. We'll catch you on the next one.